Hey everybody, welcome back to Praying Hands and Walking Feet, where we're finding our way without a compass or a map. It's Tori, and I am coming to you because I don't know if you have ever experienced this, but all of a sudden the house is crazy. The kids are loud, there's just so much noise, there's a mess, and you are just feeling like you either want to scream or like you want to walk out the front door, close the door, and just keep on walking. Oh, no, not you, maybe just me. But I have felt that way sometimes. And so typically what I realize then is that we need a reset. And sometimes it can be hard to figure out how do I reset all of this energy in the house? What's happening here in the house is not positive energy. It's not calm energy. It's not really good for anybody right now. It's not good for the kids. It's not good for me. It's not good for my husband to come home to. So we need to change. We need a quick and easy way to reset the energy. And so I started doing what I used to do in my classroom. Took me a little bit of time to transfer it here to home, but it's called a reading reset. So I would just grab a couple of books and I would just sit down here on the couch which is in the middle of the house, and I would just start reading out loud. I didn't call the kids. I didn't tell them what I was doing. I wouldn't say, "Hey guys, let's come listen to a story." No, I wouldn't do any of that. I literally would just pick up a book, sit down here on the couch by myself, make sure that there's space on either side of me, because once you've done this a few times, you'll realize that the kids need some space. And I would just open the book up and I would just start doing a read aloud to the empty family room. Now, it sounds a little bit silly. And I would start reading at a little bit of a louder volume than if they were in the room with me. And what happens is they hear it. Even over their bickering or their playing or the noise or the instruments or whatever is happening in the background, they hear, "Oh, mom's reading. I wonder what she's reading." Or, first of all, who is she talking to? And then they realize, oh, she's reading a book. And they want to listen. Kids love to be read to. And honestly, it's the best thing we can do to help them grow into readers and to be successful in school is to read out loud to them. And so I would pick up this book and I'd start reading it out loud, and I would get 2 or 3 pages into a picture book like this before one kid would come from upstairs and sit down next to me and snuggle in. Hence why you need to make sure you have some space, because they want to snuggle into you. It's that bonding, emotional, fill their cup up. Then the other 2 would come from downstairs and they'd snuggle in, and somebody would grab a blanket and I would keep reading the book. Now, the first time, one book wasn't long enough. One picture book wasn't long enough. And so then I learned to bring a couple. Especially if I was picking shorter picture books like this, I would bring a couple, 2 or 3 down with me when I knew that we needed a reset. And I would just keep reading. And I'm telling you, the most amazing thing happens when we as the parent stop, recognize what's happening, and make a shift. I know for myself, when I sit down and start reading, my shoulders drop a little bit, whether I'm reading a children's book or a book for me. And my breathing slows and I just start to relax. Well, the same thing happens for our kids. What I noticed with our kids is, because they're all up on me and snuggling in, is I can feel how fast their heart is beating when they first get to me, and their bodies are just so wound up from either excitement or sibling fights or playing rough or whatever was happening. But the energy within them is just so high. And then as I keep reading, it slows down and their energy lowers. And it's amazing, because by the end of 1 or 2 books, everybody is calm. Everybody's relaxed. Everybody's cup has been filled. They don't even remember what was happening beforehand. I don't even remember. So it's not like I need to go back and say, "Hey, don't do this." I just then guide them into something next. Maybe it's, "Hey, do you guys want to go play a board game downstairs?" Or, "Did you notice that it's gorgeous outside and you're inside these 4 walls? Why don't you go outside?" And so after you read and get everybody's energy down, it's a little bit easier to redirect. So this is a tip that I hope some of you can use. Please tell me in the comments if this is something you have ever tried, or if you just have your like preset times in the day when you read with your kids. You know, some people like to read with their kids while they're eating lunch or while they're eating breakfast because it keeps the table calm. I've done that as we've been homeschooling. We do a lot of lunch and learn where they're eating lunch and I am either reading or I put on a documentary or something like that. But kids listening to reading out loud just lowers their energy, and it fills their cup up, and it helps them become a better reader and a better student and love learning. Doesn't matter what you're reading, honestly, it doesn't. So I have some go-tos that we like to use in our family. I like to choose characters that they already know, stories that they're familiar with, because then they want to know what's happening. So Clifford is one of our favorites here. And I'll put a link below to just some of our favorites on Amazon if you want to get them. And then Berenstain Bears is also another favorite in our house. You'll see some of my books are like extremely worn down because they're so used and loved. But Berenstain Bears are also good because they teach some good family values and morals. But some longer stories, as my kids have gotten older, I've kind of had to adjust because now our youngest is 7, so we're starting to slowly move out of picture books all the time. Kids still love picture books, even when they're older and preteens, trust me. But then we moved on to like the Dr. Seuss books that are a little bit longer. These ones my kids couldn't hang for the whole story a long time ago, but now they can. And so those are ones that I'll start. Dr. Seuss especially brings them in with all the funny made up words and the rhyming, and it changes everything to laughing and giggling. So I love that. And we've started getting into chapter books. Maybe you guys have a family read aloud. That's something that you could start reading because they don't want to miss either. So if you have a family read aloud that everybody's been listening to, and they don't want to miss the next chapter or the next thing that happens, then they'll come running and they'll be engaged and excited. So the Magic Tree House books have been a family read aloud for us before. And then we also have done the Rush Revere series. We love the entire series. Throwing a little bit of history in there with some fun books. But it works, and it's awesome how it works. And just to add on a little funny story before I let you go, when we were on vacation at Walt Disney World with our extended family, so we had my in-laws there, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were there. We all were staying in the same suite, all of us. Big, happy family, right? And it was kind of a rainy day, and so we were in the suite instead of being out at Disney and doing what we had been doing. We had kind of downtime, and the adults were trying to figure out what we were going to do with the rest of the day, and the kids were just, because it's Disney and it's so exciting and there's all this going on. They were a lot of energy and a lot happening, and we had a pool table in the suite, and we were nervous that the cue balls were going to like go through the wall or go through the window. So in the middle of the adults trying to figure everything out, I grabbed our read aloud. I'd only brought one book for us. We were doing a family read aloud at the time. It was The One and Only Ivan. Great book if you've not read it. And so I just grabbed that and sat down on the couch and started reading. And the kids came, because this is something that I already knew at this point worked. I'd already been using this strategy. But the funny thing happened was the adults in the kitchen stopped talking. And they all kind of migrated in too. And the next thing I knew, everybody, the entire family was listening to me read aloud The One and Only Ivan. And so then when I stopped, because we were all lower energy and we were ready to go on with the rest of our day, the family's like, well, what happens next? And what happened before? And the kids filled everybody in on what happened before. And then for the rest of the vacation, we had to read the book out in the main area so that the rest of the family could know what was happening. So it was a great family bonding memory building experience. So let me know what books your kids love. Maybe somebody would like some suggestions on books or book series that are great for this. Chapter books as your kids get older in their upper elementary ages, chapter books are great because they want to know what happens next. And the younger ones, picture books with familiar characters are always great. Like I said, in the comment or in the description below, I will put some links to books that we have loved as a family that I've used in this strategy a lot. and their Amazon links and anything. And just to let you know, if you purchase anything through those links, it does help us and support our channel. So thanks very much. And then click the subscribe button to make sure that you get access to all of these videos with all of these tips and tricks. Thanks for stopping by.